Cristiano Ronaldo, Suey.
Ladies and gents, welcome back to the Walking Wounded. Well, one of us anyways. Pablo looking beautiful as ever. And we're back again for some more ACCL Super League game. Winners round one once again. Obviously, two orgs, Pablo, that we actually know quite a lot about with their various teams that they've had over the year. Different look for Katana. We're used to seeing that vibrant red, but their roster in Katana blue. Not necessarily one that we're too familiar with. Obviously, the boys on Incentive Esports. We know a couple of names within those boys, but at the moment, in terms of pretty much 6 out of the 8 players, we don't really have a huge amount to go on again, which feels like we're saying almost every single time we cast over ACCL at the moment. It feels as though it's different players all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have literally no knowledge of Katana Blue's team whatsoever. Prax, Heaps, Nezix, and I mean, we're going to go with Quick, I guess. Quick B.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've literally never cast over any of those players, so it'd be nice to get a look at those. Pretty much the same position we were in last night. Vizix and Zero, I think we both cast over them. Recently as well. I feel like I've cast over Zero, at least in Vanguard. Umenko, though, and Trunk Major, definitely 2 names we've not come across before. So again, 6 players we get a fresh look at, and again, the ACCL Super League throwing up some surprises.
Yeah. So. For anyone who is wondering, this is currently what our map set is going to look like for this series. So it starts off with a bit of a bang. My throat is not going to be too grateful for that one because we do have the infamous horse racing of Bocage for map number 1. And then Mr. Unknown, how you doing? Welcome to the stream, guys. Welcome. So we got Bocage map 1, and then we kind of go into a really kind of slow-paced series almost. Obviously, Tuscan a little bit more up pace, but when you look across the board, Pablo, we've pretty much got 3 out of the 5 that you would say, again, really slow, really structured maps. In comparison to map number 1, which you kind of expect almost at this point to kind of be a bit of a team deathmatch, as Bocage Hardpoint has proven in the past.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you just do not know what you're going to get with Bocage Hardpoint, whether it's going to be a complete slap, a conventional kind of game, whether it's going to go completely to the wire. I think we've had every possible kind of permutation on Bocage Hardpoint that you could possibly get, and we drop into a desert S&D. We just head straight into reasonably strategic map set after that. Yep. So if we do get to see a map 4 and map 5, we're going to get the measure of these 6 players that we've not seen before, which is great for us, just to make some more notes and get a little bit more inventory on the players in the scene that we're not getting as much access to. But yeah, at least the first 3 maps are varied and also varied in their pacing and strategy. So, you know, potentially if we hit that Berlin duo at the end, we'll have an idea of the strengths and weaknesses of these teams.
Yeah, again, it's kind of one where you look at map 1 to see probably where the kind of the slaying power is. I think that's normally the thing that you tend to see in Bocage. If it is a bit of a blowout, it's usually one team that kind of batters them just in terms of raw gun skill. But then we go to a map where everything slows down, it becomes a lot more tactical, and then obviously those slower paced assault rifle players and obviously snipers as well that come into it, kind of they get a bit of a foothold in the series. So we're obviously working with a blank canvas here. But meanwhile, for anyone who is interested, this is currently how the bracket is looking currently in the season 3 of the Super League playoffs. So Iniquity Esports, a bit of a surprise there, Pablo. Obviously, Kez and the boys have they've dropped to ICG Takeover, so they're going to drop down into that losers bracket. The loser of Clutch Train or out of Team Ignite and XC Esports, they're going to be the team that dropped down to face them. So potentially a bit of an upset there. Obviously, the boys of ICG we know are a solid roster anyways, but Iniquity Esports, they're probably going to be kicking themselves a little bit because I do believe it was a reverse sweep as well. So a bit of a stinger there for those boys.
Yeah, I mean, the curse continues for Iniquity. I think they might have to consider a rebrand just to try and shake off the kind of surprises and upsets that come about. Again, just the reverse. I think, you know, finally losing in around 11 as well, I believe, in S&D. So just a bit of a problem for them at the minute. Again, you know, one player we do talk about it. We know JT's been really good, but Kez just a little bit off the boil at the minute. He's, you know, the past few times we've cast over him, he's not gone big in terms of kills. It's a position we're not used to seeing him in. He's done really well in terms of objective. He's suddenly become this like hard point kill kitten. He just gets tons of time and just seems to be really good at the OBJ side of things. But again, his slaying has just completely dropped off at the minute. So back to the lab for those boys. They are still in the losers bracket, so still a losers bracket run potentially, but it's a drawn out process and it's not going to be that easy.
Yeah, and we've obviously got quite a few stacked teams. Obviously the boys of Clutch Rain, we kind of know what those boys are about whenever we cover them. And thank you very much for the follow, buddy. Much appreciated. So yeah, apologies for the delays, guys. We are just waiting on the lads to start lobbying up. I don't believe they've started lobbying up yet in the courtesy Call of Duty fashion. But yeah, there's obviously a few other orgs in there, Pablo. Obviously the Vitalized rosters, unsurprisingly, pretty much they normally go quite far into these tournaments. We've seen them take one tournament before when they managed to win that grand final. Obviously, different roster now when they had Felix and Smudge alongside Johnny W and Gabe. So a very different look roster, but again, an organisation that we know always picks up good players. And then you've got the likes of Mistaken Esports, who again, pretty stacked roster, Snake, Mr. Gabe in Aroma, Johnny W and Runner. So you're probably looking at those guys to be kind of the heavy hitters as you kind of expect within the bracket. I mean, you see they're the team that are automatically in winners round 2 from top in their group. So it's one where you kind of expect those teams especially to go the distance. It'll be surprising if one of those 3 teams drops down to the losers bracket early on, because it can be a bit of a slog. Obviously, winning those ones in winners round 2, winners round 3 save you, 2-3 additional series, which sometimes you can argue gives you a bit of momentum. But the way kind of these games are staggered out a little bit, you can argue that the teams that drop into the losers bracket can sometimes get a little bit of momentum going in that losers bracket. So it's like 6 of one, half dozen of the other, really. You can make the argument for both cases almost.
Yeah, and there's kind of like an odd way to think about it as well, is that if you continue through the winners bracket, despite the fact that there are potentially a shorter amount of games to get to the grand final, you've got to consider that you are going to be facing probably the toughest opposition, a little drop down to losers, and you might find yourself, facing opposition where you have an off day, you have that one off day, and then suddenly you find yourself back on form and you're not in as much trouble. But obviously the journey to that position is just that bit longer, so still plenty to play for. I think most teams rather be in a position where they'd make it all the way to the grand final via the winners bracket, just for expediency more than anything else. Still plenty of top-notch teams, that is still in there, just the names you've mentioned already in Clutch and Mistaken, so still plenty to play for. But again, just another culmination of a really good season of ACCL Super League. But this time round, I think this has got more players in this Super League that we haven't cast over than the previous iteration, so it's also nice that we're starting to see this kind of explosion of new talent coming through.
Yeah, and obviously going into Sheffield, as Prezzi's pointed out, the top 8 here, they will qualify for that ACCL LAN, which I believe has been confirmed to expand out into 32 teams now. So it's becoming more of a behemoth event. Obviously, for us, it's going to be a long day of nothing but passionate Call of Duty, which we can't really complain about. But it's one where you're looking at the players that are obviously performing now, whether they can transfer it across to LAN. We obviously saw all the EU lads pretty much put up a hell of a battle. Obviously, I know some of them, like the likes of Sukri's Bakery, and the way that kind of Grad's team went out, they were a little bit disappointed with how that obviously all went down. But in general, EU COD is looking very, very strong at the moment. And again, we've got another opportunity at another LAN event where EU COD can kind of demonstrate what it's got to offer. Because as much as obviously we ourselves haven't experienced, a lot of people do say that LAN is very, very different from what you get when you play online. And obviously some players overperform online in comparison to LAN, and other players just thrive off of it. So it's going to be interesting to see again how these teams transition from going from that online setting to being straight across the face and having the likes of Beans roar at you and Denza across the table, literally like 1 meter in front of your face.
Yeah, I think the thing to consider as well is that some teams and some players get a little blessed with their connection, and we know that con is a big deal, especially online. And we know you only have to look at the potential for the Rocker guys to turn up to LAN. They've been hitting that 9 millisecond ping for the whole season online, and then they hit the LAN, and all of a sudden it takes that extra bullet to get the kill, or the hit reg isn't quite there, or whatever, and it can throw your game asunder. Not saying that was the case, lads, but just as an example, that can potentially happen. Then as soon as you get to LAN, where you've got this level playing field almost, with discrepancies and latency is going to be a lot less. If as was shown during the Rocker LAN, everyone got whatever lag or latency was happening, everyone felt it. There was only the odd person who wasn't really suffering from it. And as the teams and the amount of teams whittled down, then that obviously got better and better as they found themselves with only a handful of teams remaining. With only 32 teams being in the ACCL LAN, I think we're probably not going to suffer it as much, but you are going to start to see a couple of players scratching the head a little bit, like, why isn't this the same? I'm an absolute don online, and then you hit the LAN, and there's going to be so many players, because we've had 2 years without it, that have never played a LAN. And the other thing is, some of the old school boys are going to be turning up to Sheffield who have got a ton of LAN experience, so expect to see some familiar faces and some old pros going absolutely huge at this event as well.
I was saying to Johnny in Gabe's chat, he's probably on a lot of people's hit list for LAN. God forbid he drops the map. You can imagine the amount of crap that he's going to be have thrown at him across the desk. But a lot of people were doubting the likes of Beans, for example. They were saying, well, these guys haven't been on LAN, and Wardy as well. Again, another player, first time on LAN, and then all of a sudden you've got half of the NA going, who the bloody hell are these lot? They're absolutely trying
You
some of
take
the...
away the team that won Wardy's player of the time. For me, he was the best
He was
player all
brilliant.
week.
Yeah, I mean, as a
Absolutely
team,
awesome.
that team of 4 for me going into it was one that I think a lot of people would have underestimated. I think a lot of people look at those teams that have been picked up by the Orgs and the likes of Toronto Ultra and Rocco. Obviously, the Rocker lads. I mean, we can talk about that all day. At kind of how difficult that one was for them. I mean, going into that, unless they finished probably top 3, anyone would have looked at that and gone, they underperformed here because the expectation for those lads with how they started the game was so high that it's almost they kind of put themselves unexpectedly in a pit where they couldn't really do anything right unless they finished probably top 3. So it was a bit of a shame. Probably the most disappointing out of the lot. But I mean, when you look at the talent on the roster, it just you kind of think, right, well, fingers crossed. These boys can
The only thing you've got to consider is you look at those flags at the end of the Sunday. They're nearly all European flags at the side of those boys' names, and we were still like I mean, I mentioned it the other day. Like, it was a surprise that Sucre's Bakery went out as early as they did, and it was a massive surprise that the boys from Rocker went out as soon as they did. So the expectation was that those 2 teams would also make it the distance, and although there is only a limited number of spaces, and the way the bracket works out probably wouldn't have allowed us to get as many European teams in the top 6, but we got a fair few. It was still, you would have to say, it was still a job well done. Like, it was still, you as a community, it's still like,
for sure.
Hats off. Like, we end up, if you look at like the placements across the top 10 teams, you're going to see an awful lot of European flags, and you look at how many teams went out there, but participated in the challenges. It's like 96 teams or 92 teams or whatever. That is an incredible achievement to think that nearly all the European teams that went out there either finished really well where we would expect them, or was surprisingly went out a little early and everyone was kind of shocked. So yeah, I mean, it's in a great place at the minute, and the passion was right there. I got to give some props though to Scrappy as well. I know everyone's like, we can't stand him, but he brought the passion and he made it really interesting.
I mean, it's weird, isn't it, with EU COD? I mean, there's so much back and forth and firing shots at each other, but as soon as it's EU versus NA, the dynamic completely shifts. It's like, right, all of our eggs are in the EU basket. We don't care who it is. If there's an NA player chatting shit to one of our boys, they'll get in it. Like, it's such a weird dynamic, isn't it? And I mean, regardless, no one can argue that EU COD at the moment definitely, I think, took a lot of people by surprise. And again, another game here tonight, Pablo, with 2 teams we don't know huge amounts about, but you never know. We could come up against a few players that are sitting here and thinking, right, well, there's some new names to add to the tally of almost endless talent already.
Well, we're going to find out very, very soon as Bocage Hardpoint does get underway. Incentive in black, Katana in unusual blue. Used to seeing him, as you pointed out, in red. It's going to be Zero and Yumenko getting the first handful of kills as the boys in from Incentive Esports just looked to take control of P1. Already got themselves set up major, and this is one thing you've got to worry about for Katana is when you get set up this early with this kind of strength from early doors, it can potentially be a problem. You're going to have to bounce back pretty quickly.
Yeah, it looks as though that's kind of what Katana Blue have done, though. Quite a few instant kills coming through in quick succession as they try and push their way through towards the back, as Quick is going to manage to take down Yumiko. So now, number 8 round the back, Nezix is already going for those spawns, and the Automaton is a gun that we've seen all year long, but now we're starting to see a lot more from this gun in the Volk. So we'll see how Nezix is able to play this one on the Bocage. Zero as well, a player that we've seen before, Pablo, who's put up some really big numbers on some of the rosters that he's been on, and already him and his boys, just the slaying power off the rip. Probably not the be-all, end-all for Katana Blue at the moment, but what we usually see from Bocage is if that pace is maintainable, then it becomes very difficult.
Yeah, and you can see there, Vrizik snaps straight onto the headshot. His accuracy is just unerring at times. Really nice from Katana Blue, though. Again, what you point out, the slaying power might not be there, but they got that P2 spawn, and they managed to do it with a certain degree of elegance as well. So, although the scoreline isn't, I mean, it's gone nowhere. We've seen almost no real hold now since the beginning of that P1, 21-10 at the minute. Katana Blue finally do get on, but they're going to get pushed from the front major, which is just, again, lends itself to the absolute brutality of the boys and accuracy from the boys from Incentive Esports, who are absolutely slaying out right now. And they just see that Zero dips and absolutely destroys, I think it was Ivor, was it? My eyesight's absolutely gone. H9 maybe. But yeah, another awesome display. And right now it does look like they chalked the scrap time Incentive, going to get set up for grannies. And one thing I would say as well, Major, is it does look like a really solid strategy. Every hill they've kind of had a setup. They've looked to get some kind of control, map control across the board.
And that's exactly what they're doing at the moment. Vrizik's just going to be watching a night down this side of the map, and it looks like those Zero's just going to be watching kind of the front and bottom grannies here, and shots come through straight away from H9 to take him off the point. So now, how many more can they grab here? There's another one that comes through for Trunk. More players are just throwing themselves at the hill, but Katana Blue do a good job of punching their way through the front. You can see Yumiko is just watching over these lanes as the players spawn in, and there's one from him, and there's two from him, and you can see the last man in Prax is just waiting around the corner, potentially with a similar outcome, but this time comes through from his teammate, and at the moment, the positioning coming through from the boys in yellow is looking very, very good as Zero manages to stay alive, and through all the madness that's coming through Pablo Incentive, they still manage to do a good job of just keeping a man just lurking on the hill.
Yeah, absolutely nice little contest. Incentive, a bit of an odd one. They just threw one player to kind of hold hill, and it gave them too many options to kind of, in terms of doorways, to take coverage over, and they get dropped, and this has allowed this basic contest. They've done well to break back in, giving themselves a 30-second cushion. That's a beautiful shot there, though, as the team in blue, in Katana Blue, more seriously, managed to get a little bit of scrap time, but again, not really set up for this P3 barn. And again, we normally see this as a big contest still, but the boys from Incentive, one kill, and they've allowed the team to kind of walk on through. Again, another big battle mid-map. You can see that player in number 8, Nezix, is making his way around, looking to get a pick, but I think he hasn't been found, actually. That's a really nice play. Some odd COD time, and unfortunately for him, he does get dropped. Number 4 is going to get the scrap as well, going to pick up and tag up that player who was trying to make the way around. Nice hold from the back from the team in yellow, but a major, again, barn proves to be heavily contested as the kill feed goes back and forth.
Yeah, and that kill feed lights up yellow time after time, but saying that, Commentator's Curse puts it straight back in favour of Katana as they manage to cut down a few players, and good clean team wipe there from those lads. I'll tell you what, the way the slaying's going at the moment, with your 40 points difference, if you're Katana Blue, you're probably taking that, because they are getting battered in terms of just raw kills at the moment. And now Vrizic's just going to be in charge of watching the back as we go over towards the arguably one of the more money hills in this P5. You can see already the kind of the spread of yellow arrows on the mini-map. Number 2 in Zero is going to look to try and mop up a couple of the players in the back, but good trades there coming through from Nezix as he's now looking to try and grab a couple of players off of spawn, and it's going to be another kill though that comes through in favour of Incentive, and they wipe out pretty much everyone. Yumiko is going to look to try and get himself on towards the hill, but I'll tell you what, Pablo, it's just a case of Katana at the moment. They just seem to be struggling for getting those key engagement wins, but saying that, H9 with a big kill in the back and potentially a second.
Mate, they've got a long way to go to catch up to Incentive, though, because just doing a quick calculation of the maths, and Incentive really not far off, double the amount of kills of Katana Blue, and it's been a real kind of example of slaying power. You've got Trunk in a foot race with Zero in terms of kills, 17 at the minute. We've got no one realistically close. H9 probably the closest, and he is negative at the minute. But as we hit the end of this first rotation, the boys from Katana Blue do seem to have warmed up a little bit. We're just seeing a few more hits go out, but Prax and Nezix both realistically just need to start laying down some fire, because they are both beyond double negative, and Nezix one away from that double neg, and Prax well over. In fact, he's heading to triple neg right now, and when they've only got 22 seconds between them, this is why we see this gulf in time in Bocage Hardpoint, which is wild. It's usually so much of a closer map, even if there is this kind of wild gun skill gap, but right now the boys from Incentive Major are dominating heavily, and right, without some kind of miracle from the boys in Katana, this is potentially going to be a really, really easy round win for them.
Yeah, and again, they do have the man on the hill. Trunk is going to be able to trade out at least one, but he's going to run into a fair few bodies in towards that bottom granny side, so the difference now standing at around 70 currently for the boys of Katana, and at the moment, it just feels as though every single kill just seems to be yellow, as another couple of kills come through. H9, though, going to do his best. Currently, the best performing on the side at the moment. Good work there from him to take down a couple, and he will fall as Vrizix trades him out. You can already see, though, the presence over towards the back is quite heavy here for Katana, but now Vrizix, how many can he take down? Only able to grab one, so every cloud has a silver lining, and for the boys of Katana Blue, it's going to be that the fact that they do have that P2 spawn, and they've got that rotation, Pablo, but now they just need to hold.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, they've only got to hold this. If they hold this hill for the foreseeable, they can bring themselves back massively into the game. They do get taken down. They are going to push anyone onto the hill. And number 1 in Vizix is going to try and make his way around. That has been red, though, and that's a beautiful kill by Prax, despite the fact that he has only got 11 kills to 21 deaths. That's a big kill towards the back. Incentive just going to try and prod again towards back tin. They managed to get the kills, and that's going to give them potentially a little bit of a hold. 129 to 81. Katana Blue have brought it back within about 50 seconds, but again, they really can't afford to give that much time away to Incentive Esports, who've regained control of P2 in the second rotation. Not really set up too healthily for grannies, though, so with 10 seconds remaining, a good opportunity for Katana Blue to get back into the hill, and not just that, get some kills, get some time, and maybe bring this Bocage, you know, into a more competitive frame of mind.
Yeah, Prax is out the back here. Really struggling, though, alongside Nezic, just to kind of get up to speed here with the pacing of the Bocage. He's going to get taken down in the back again, and Incentive, they just have a sixth sense that those players are in the back, and look at that combined streak at the moment. Holy moly, quick maths. Is that 14, I think, on the side of Incentives? They are absolutely battering Katana once again here in the middle portion of the game, and now they have doubled that lead once again as they push it out. 15 now is the streak before Vrizix finally dies, and it looks as though Prax is going to try and do his best to get in towards the back again and try and maybe disrupt a couple of players coming off of the spawn, but while they're playing for these rotations, Pablo, they're playing for the time. They're also losing a lot of hill time at the moment as Incentive just keep pushing this lead out, but finally that kill feed lights up blue and they get in towards the hill, but it might be too little too late potentially.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing some kind of fundamental flaws in the Katana game plan. We're seeing some kind of odd centering, maybe just not the gun skill just not there, but also seeing kind of a lack of knowledge in spawns as we watch Prax try and like watch down kind of back trench, sorry, not back trench, but back alley, and the team in yellow are spawning out towards tin. So just a little bit maybe of game knowledge, just holding the guys up and just trying to rely a little bit on what little gun skill they've managed to bring to the table. They managed to push the 100-second mark though, which is a point, you know, earlier on in the game, fearful that they weren't able to get to it. 192 to 101. The second rotation of hills has just been a little bit more generous to the team in blue, and as I say that, of course, Yumeko goes and drops a 2-piece straight onto the heads of Katana blue. Yumeko on a 3-streak, and again, you know, Major, one of the things that you've got to be concerned about is Incentive Esports across the board are getting a consistent array of streaks. They might not have glides, but they're not getting traded out. We're seeing 5 pieces, we're seeing 3 pieces, and this is a worrying time at 210 to 106 as you see Vrizix and Zero. I didn't say 106, but that was pretty sexy from the boys in yellow. 217 to 106 where Katana blue made a lot of work. Vrizix is disgusting.
I was going to say, if he did that with the pistol as well, that would have been the cherry on the top of the cake in map 1, because that was absolutely brutal from him. As again, Incentive, they've got the rotation and they've got Zero now on towards the hill, so now this is getting dangerous. They are falling by the wayside at the moment. Katana blue, they have been absolutely destroyed here on map number 1, especially just in terms of kills, but the hill time now is really coming through for Incentive. More kills coming through as the trades go in. It looks as though Trunk's going to try and get on towards the hill himself, as they do realise that there is still one man in. Nezic's out towards L, but another kill from Trunk is going to edge him just 2 away from 30, and at the moment it looks as though every single player across the board with a couple more kills might be over that 30 kill mark. As Quick is going to try and get in towards the hill, nothing happens, and with 4 seconds remaining, I think this map 1 is going to be done. It is Incentive Esports. What a statement from those boys, and what a map from them.
Mate, I don't even know where to begin on that one. From the very outset, that was an absolute annihilation, a bloodbath of a Bocage right there. They'll be picking up bodies for weeks off the field over towards P2, but P5 again a killing zone. And the problem you've got right there is non-traded kills. 27, 18, 24 and 20 it's insane in terms of non-traded kills. You cannot go into a game and just get a, 2-piece, 3-piece and 5-piece at times by an array of players. You expect to see it out of individuals, but when everyone's firing on all cylinders, Incentive looking very, very strong indeed. And to a certain extent, maybe for Bagash, our points, it worries you because that's a map that everyone can usually at this level can do quite well on, and we're about to hit a Desert Seed Search and Destroy where we know Vrizix and Zero have done well on before. So this is a big moment. But Major, what happens every time we see a game like game 1 like that? What is it that happens?
Well,
insanity.
You've been around for a while, you know that map 1 is usually not much to go off of when it comes to going straight into a search and destroy. And almost we're kind of going from one extreme to the other, Pablo. We're going from a Bocage hardpoint to arguably the slowest search and destroy map on the game. So it's an opportunity now for the boys of Katana Blue to try and hit a regain there. But I mean, the slaying power is probably the highlight really for the boys of Incentive. They just won gunfight after gunfight, and we kind of talk about how important those rotations are, Pablo. But if you're not getting kills, it's just so difficult. A quick shout out to hold up Cast Basher and Black Clash. Thank you very much for the follows, guys. But yeah, I mean, wow. I mean, map 1 at the moment, if that's anything to go by, it's just it's a bit worrying, I would say, for Katana Blue at least.
There was a few things there that you would want to pick up on, aside from a distinct lack of strategy outside of a basic rotation. They went once they got into position a few times. Honestly, they got P2 a handful of times, but then once they were in that position, they didn't really have a strategy beyond that. Whereas Incentive would get, if they got rotation, would then have a solid setup. You know, they would have players watching different angles. Sometimes they would have a 2-stack on the hill, sometimes they would have a 1-stack on the hill, but they had a setup so that when they got pushed, they, you know, invariably were able to repel that first initial setup, and that gave them, you know, a good amount of time on each hill. So, you know, they were constantly playing 35 to 40 seconds, and when you're slaying like that and the other team can't breach it, can't hold, it just becomes a bit of a massacre. A couple of other problems, players not centering correctly, so you were just seeing a lot of missed opportunities to get basic kills, because when they're pre-fired in the wrong area, or they're slightly off center, and they're just not going to get those kills. And when you've got Zero and Vizix killing like that, then you're going to lose your gunfight. So just a couple of things I think they need to work on.
Well, they're the two players on the side of Incentive that we do know a little bit about, and whenever we've seen them, they've pretty much performed regardless of the roster. So we kind of knew the firepower that Incentive Esports are likely to have coming into this one. But obviously, Search and Destroy, Pablo, they've got an opportunity now to slow it down, try and make it a bit more strategic rather than kind of the madness of Bocage. But it's one where you're looking at now Katana to try and show us something, a little spark almost in the Search and Destroy. We call upon some of the teams to hit good regains in Search and Destroy. We see it time after time, but if Map 1's anything to go by, it's very one-sided. So you're kind of looking for Katana Blue, probably early stages, to start picking a couple of rounds here or there, or at least try and keep themselves in the game, because if it starts going 3-0, 4-0, 4-1, that's when you start to worry a little bit in Search and Destroys.
The big opportunity, the positive to take away right now for Desert S&D for the boys in Katana is, are Zero and Vizix going to be able to hold on to that kind of form going into an S&D? Is this a respawn team that potentially just trying to get by an S&D based on their gun skill? In which case, just play it as strategically as possible. Make sure you get your trades. You know, don't be too spread out. Be there to support the rest of the team, and just make sure that you do get your kills, but try and play as strategically as possible. On Desert Siege, you get a pick. Invariably, you've got enough bomb site control to get bomb down, so you know, control the time as well, so that you the elements that you have got in your power you are utilizing. But again, the problem you've got is if Incentive Esports are particularly good at S&D with the kind of slaying power that they have got, and the fact that they did employ strategies in the hard point, it's a worrying sign going into your second game. But we've been made to eat our words plenty of times. And that mewling that you can hear in the background is Zeppelin trying to leave the room. Apologies.
I'll say is that Zeppelin's making noises, I'm making noises, chucking my guts up in the meantime. But yeah, good map one there from the boys of Incentive Esports. If you guys didn't miss it, 250 to 106 was the score as we get ready now for the Desert Siege Search and Destroy in map number 2. But an opportunity potentially, Pablo, to see if we get a couple more sniping plays on this one. Obviously, that no man's land side is one where if you've obviously got that presence of that sniper to try and command that area of the map, it really does make a difference, because if you can kind of zone off those large sections of the map that are pretty much forces, but we've seen it so many times where a sniper can be on form on Desert Siege and all of a sudden the other team is literally pushing the A site all the time just because of the fear of having that sniper almost clean their head off. So I'll be interested to see again if either of these teams opt to try and get quite a lot of control down that no man's land side.
Yeah, I mean, the options for snipers in Desert Siege S&D are limitless almost. You can, as you say, hit that no man's land side. A lot more difficult to do than hitting maybe the A long, just purely because you've got there's a few more opportunities for players to take up different positions as they approach that B bomb site. I myself prefer A long just because there's a lot more of a limitation. You tend to just watch the end right hand side of the train, and if someone peeks out, you might get a shot. Or if you're quick enough, you can push up past the bomb site and maybe get anyone on rushing from long or from mid. But again, we tend to see the better snipers push, holding that no man's land side. Maybe we'll see some world stars. Hopefully KG are going to be able to bring this back, and they're not going to be as blue as they were in the first map, and maybe pick things up.
That's what he did there. So map number 2 on the Desert Siege Search and Destroy. If you guys did miss map 1, as mentioned, Incentive Esports in this winners round 1 did take it 250 to 106, regardless of who drops in this one. It's not going to be the end of the world, because they will drop down to the losers bracket, as this does have a winners and a losers section, so it won't be the end of the world for whoever does eventually fall on this one. But now load in towards the Desert Siege Search and Destroy, and it looks as though pretty much everyone is now ready to go. So I suppose you're calling on the boys of Incentive, Pablo, to kind of continue what they've done, and the boys of Katana Blue to kind of up it a little bit and give us something to work with.
I mean, a little bit. It's going to have to be huge. You're going to have to see H9. Now he's got that more difficult job of trying to watch down that kind of no man's land area. It does look like for the outset it's going to be an A push. We can see a little bit of map control going that way. It looks like it's going to be a first attempt at an early pick, but it's going to be KD with the 2-piece, and already we've got the thing we talked about the most was that little bit of strategy, a little bit of caution, and we see the players in blue already potentially in a 2v4 right now.
Well, there you go. This is a strong start. They haven't even dropped it live. Wow, good start there from the boys of Katana Blue. They managed to take that first one. They managed to get the all-important picks, but strong work there from those lads. Just kind of patient. It was an interesting attack really from Incentive Esports, Pablo. It was a bit kind of segregated. It didn't seem as though they kind of had an idea of exactly what the robust team push was going to be. It almost felt as though they were kind of playing for the pick, and obviously they weren't able to get it. And Wick was able to grab 2 of them, so it made that job a little bit harder.
Again, I think if you're going to go towards that middle building, you need to take control of it. So you're going to have to push in and try and take some angles. Don't just sit outside it, because you're prone to that mid push then, and you left at the side of the wall. There's not a great deal you can do, but this is great news for Katana Blue. As I say, that Zero gets that first blood, takes down Nezix. It's going to be a 3v4 as we hit that 1minute 10 mark. But still, you've got to look. H9 going absolutely off with the sniper. Quick also doing great work. But again, this is all about a little bit of patience from the team in blue, and they already look like a much better side than the one we saw in Boca. I should imagine it's a completely different team right now, and as I say that, it's going to be a 1v4, mate. The round went so quick, I couldn't even bring you into it. I do apologise, mate.
Oh, mate, it's all
I'm going to have to let me dog out. The dog's got it.
Zeppelin. He wants to go out, but nice work there from Trunk to get that final kill, so the boys in yellow will just tie it back up to 1 round apiece. It'll be interesting to see how they decide to take this next round, because that first round was a bit brutal on their part, weren't even able to get a pick. So we'll see if they try and switch it up a little bit here, going into round number 3, and Trunk currently the best performing on the side of Incentive. Keep drag on him and see if he can manage maybe get another first blood hit. Looks
I have a happy dog now.
There you go, Zeppelin's happy, we're happy, everyone's happy. But yeah, it would be interesting to see now, Pablo, how the boys of Incentive try and take this round, because obviously that first round was a bit brutal on their part, but it looks as though they're going to go for nothing but raw aggression once again, and this time it pays off. Trunk with the first blood.
Yeah, and we talk about, how some teams approach it. They go with a natural game, and sometimes this is super aggressive and doesn't work out for them. Well, right now, Incentive deciding to take the pace up quite a notch, maybe 10-15% up, and we see them get absolutely annihilated as Katana Blue fall to the kind of pace and precision that we saw in the previous map. And that little bit of caution that did them so well in that first round, high hopes that we had coming out of that first round for Katana Blue, just being completely blown away as Incentive Esports take a 2-1 lead. And Major, if they're going to play like that, this is what we talked about yesterday with the team that was able to kind of assimilate and regurgitate a strategy in response to that. So Katana Blue maybe just, they've got bomb now, just play it the way they did in the first round, and then the next round just, potentially just sit back, play a little bit more cautious, and try and get picks on this very aggressive team in yellow.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they do. H9's going to manage to open it up with a kill onto Zero, so strong start. That one. No Trunk. Going to be edging his way closer towards Streak, so he is going to have to try and play this a little bit more patiently than he might probably opt to normally do it. But oh my goodness, Physics, he's in a tough spot now. He's going to desperately try and retreat inside. He's not going to be able to do it though, and now they're falling by the wayside once again. Trunk is still playing for Streaks, and now all of a sudden he's the last man up, 1 versus 4. Going to have to try and at least maybe work his life and just try and stay alive here, because he's going to spot one though, but H9 takes him down, so no Streaks there for the boys of Incentive, and another round on the board for Katana Blue as they tie it back up.
Yeah, and they responded really nicely. They were a little bit more cautious, got that first pick, and then really just controlled the game. And we talked about it earlier on. Once they managed to get dropped, those first player and potentially the second player, they get that bomb site control, get control of the time, get bomb down. And now they're back 2-2, and again, just a really nice performance across the board. And we're seeing some really great shots come out of them. So maybe first game nerves, a little bit of a warm-up needed. But right now, Prax belying the performance that we saw in that first round. Because right now he's 4-2 and looks like a completely different player.
And Trunk's going to be watching over towards his B site. He is going to get taken down, though, after he manages to drop quick. So now 3 versus 3. H9's going to get spotted by Yumiko, and some clean shots there are going to allow Incentive now with a bit of an opportunity here to potentially work their way up the map here. They will the Trunk carrying that bomb. Try and retrieve it now off a dead body, but now Prax and Nezix left in a 2 versus 3. It looks as though they're kind of going for the spread approach, Pablo. It's one where this sometimes goes very, very well, or sometimes it goes very, very badly, it feels like.
Yeah, this is all about gathering information, and really you just want to be as cautious as possible. You don't want to make too much noise or give anything away. You do want to try and wait for your mucker to kind of come behind you and allow you to get trades or at least get picks effectively. But they've got that information. They know where these players are, although Zero has made his way into the middle building and is potentially about to come behind. He does look to get an angle up above, but he can't see that player. So nice plays right now from the team in blue, but potentially just a little bit too aggressive, and it is going to be Yumenko who drops Prax. Immediately traded back, and it is going to be Incentive, though, who get that final trade. and they're going to take a short lead, 3-2. But this game's pretty back and forth
Yeah.
right now. I wouldn't like to call it. This isn't the situation that we've seen, previously, where the team that absolutely dominated in that first map have gone on to kind of carry that momentum on. This is looking a lot more even in this game.
I was gonna say they're kind of trading blow for blow at the moment, both teams. Incentive to take that one round cushion once again, and now going to be on that defensive side. So let's see what the boys of Katana Blue are going to try and opt to go for this one. It looks as though there's going to be potential A push here. Zero is going to be the lone man, but I mean, if anyone's going to be on their own, probably picking him, to be honest. He is going to get tagged up a little bit and going to try and reposition as those blue arrows are starting to swarm over towards him, and Quick's going to spot him. Straight into the back he goes, and he's going to try and get this bomb down. And at the moment, it looks as though they've got quite a lot of control over this side of the map as H9 takes down another, and all of a sudden, Vrizix and Trunk are going to have to work some magic.
Yeah, 4v2, and we talk about how difficult clutches can be. Trunk's going to make it a little bit easier. Oh, Vrizix just comes off the ADS at the wrong time, not able to get that pick. Good opportunity. Vrizix with an absolute beamer over towards Quick. He is going to retransition, though, and get himself into a better position. Still with that sniper, though, and we see the spread push. No bomb is down, 21 seconds remaining. It is A, apologies, I'm literally in another world. Vrizix off the top rope, though, Major, with 15 seconds remaining. Not a lot of time to get the defuse. Vrizix is going to get onto the bomb site. H9 with the opportunity to get it. Is he going to get it? The defuse is in. Oh my god, I mean, mate, eat me words. The kill just comes in time, Major. You're the one with COVID, and I'm the one that sounds sick.
Speaking of sick plays there for Mr. H9. Going to take both players
Absolutely
out of that one. They are going to manage to now tie it back up once again. So back and forth this lot go, and the waft slowly starting to come through that round 11. So Katana Blue, let's see where they try and set up here and potentially stack. It's kind of, we haven't really seen a big push over towards B yet, Pablo. We've seen a lot of these A pushes and playing behind the pick, but looks as though at the moment both teams are kind of a little bit hesitant to even try and get this bomb down at B. As though Trunk's going to try and do the same thing again over towards the A side. It looks as though Incentive are going to go.
Yeah, I mean, Incentive so far have been very A heavy, and I don't know whether it's just a lack of strategy or whether they just feel very, very competent in terms of their AR prowess. And you obviously got number one in Vrizix just watching over the top. So, I think this is definitely a preferred strategy right now. It hasn't really seen them too good. 3-all. They again toe-to-toe. They do lose out to those fights. So right now they just fall by the wayside. What a beautiful retake of the bomb site so far by Katana Blue. And Vrizix is left really far back, deep into this thing into the map with the sniper. Oh my days! Is he going to do it in 19 seconds, Major?
Oh no, he didn't. I was going to say. For a second there, I thought he did the impossible there, Vrizix. He manages to rip through the box and rip the skull off the man who was defusing at the time, but it is going to be Prax that is going to be there to just about breathe a sigh of relief, really, for Katana Blue, because for a second there, that was getting a little bit out of hand there, as they were unfortunately not able to clutch up there, but Vrizix showing what the sniper can do on this map, Pablo. We talk about kind of that dominance, and obviously Incentive ESports switching it up a little bit, playing behind the sniper to try and watch over the bomb. It was kind of a position that looked positive in times, but then all of a sudden they just unfortunately kind of dropped numbers, and Vrizix kind of had a little bit too much to do.
Yeah, I mean, at one point there, I did think he got a collat, and I was like, there's no way he's just collatted for the round, but Katana Blue just do enough in time, despite the heroics of... I mean, you talked about it earlier on. We do love seeing some world star performances from the snipers, but that was probably a bit too... That would have been unreal. That would have been easily clip of the year so far. Huge plays. Vrizix is an absolute monster with this sniper. I feel a little proud that he's quick-scoping around the map, looking to get another pick. He's not able to take the head off that player, and very sensibly the player backs up, but he gets dealt with a Major. Incentive managed to snap back, and that aggression really coming through for them.
Well, it feels like the most aggressive player at the moment is the man with the sniper. He's just flying around some of these corners at the moment in Vrizix. Managing to take down quite a few players with him as he's putting in his application for phase at the moment. He's cutting through players pretty much willy-nilly at the moment. But now he currently stands at 7 and 5. We'll obviously stay on board with him to see if he can work behind that first pick. Because at the moment, Incentive looks as though they're kind of looking to him to obviously open up the rounds. But it just feels as though at times they get the pick. But then all of a sudden, Katana Blue kind of fight back. And all of a sudden, we're still tied up between these. Nothing really separating them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's still toe-to-toe, but it's two completely opposing kind of philosophies when it comes to this game. And we've got this very hyper-aggressive push from the boys in Incentive, constantly looking to try and get a pick, constantly looking to try and get as much map coverage as possible. You can see the spread right now, but unfortunately, it has left Vrizix in a very open position. Quick, able to get that in his zero. He's just going to be waiting for those players to push, and you can see how close Nezix is right now, 3 and 6, absolutely surrounded by players in yellow with a great opportunity if he plays this patiently. Does get one pick, and Nezix manages to get that player, but Zero manages to get the response in 47 seconds. It is going to be a 2v2 major.
Yep, Drunken Zero. Gonna have to try and retrieve the bomb first. That's the main difficulty, and Quick's going to be around this side, and he takes down one. Can he take down the second, though? Zero gets the trade, but his teammate, Imprax, is still lurking nearby in that middle building. He tries to just reposition himself to try and maybe catch Zero out. Zero still got the mission of working his way pretty much over to spawn, because they did leave the bomb behind, so Zero does retrieve the bomb. 20 seconds remaining, though. He's not really got a huge amount of time to work with, and it looks as though he's going to try and get the bomb down. Surely it's going to have to be 8. Maybe he's not even going to try and get this done. Is he even going to be able to get to the bomb site time? It's going to be close. Tell you what. Oh, just about. Now sticks the bomb, and Prax going to check it at the right time. Zero just going to try and toy with him for the moment as he looks to try and bait him off the bomb, but he gets chased. Zero gets the kill, and all of a sudden, a round that looked bleak for Incentive, they suddenly managed to win.
What was that? Prax, please. What was that? Your teammates must be shouting at him now. He's got an opportunity to take him off the bomb. I get the angle wasn't perfect, but just transition and get the kill. Instead of running away, you get absolutely pummeled in the back. A round that you should have won, and it's gone the way of Incentive Esports. My mind is totally boggled by that play. Major, I am so confused there. That is absolutely blown my mind. 5-4 to Incentive. Katana Blue are going to be raging at that.
I can kind of see the idea behind it. Just the execution was not great. It was kind of, I think he was obviously thinking, right, I think he's going to chase me. I'll try and run away. But the fact that he just completely left his back exposed obviously meant that it was pretty much just a freebie there for Zero, who manages to win another important round for his team, who are now 1 round away. The bomb will go down over towards the A site as Yumeko is going to try and work his way around the right side, and is he going to spot the head of H9? Apologies, it's Quick actually, who's trying to stay alive on towards the bomb. You can see number 3-0 going to try and work the lane, but a big kill comes through there for Katana Blue, as they're actually going to try and stack the hill, but it's now Yumeko on the site, catches one, but now H9 makes the trade, and all of a sudden, it's now a 2 versus 2 as Trunk manages to take one man off the bomb. You can see the patience, though, from Katana. They're just waiting for the right time before checking the bomb, and you can see number 1 in Vrizix is going to try and do his best to keep his man alive on the hill and on the bomb, but he's not going to be able to, so now Vrizix, all of a sudden, last man up. I don't think he's even going to try and work this bomb. We will just reposition and maybe get a free pick there to take down one, or maybe the second, not quite. So there you go, Pablo, round 11, baby.
Well, they brought it back, and deservedly so. I mean, they've played so well in this S&D. They needed to give themselves the opportunity to get back into it. Vrizix not quite with the heroics one more time. A huge performance out of them to bring it back to this round 11 from a position where we did feel like coming into this S&D they might get blown away, but this has been a completely different outfit from the hardpoint. Katana Blue have absolutely gone off, and more than anything else, every player contributing across the board. Yep. You know, everyone at least putting up above 5 and 6 kills. A huge plays, big round 11 coming up though, and this is going to be Vrizix back on the sniper.
And we've seen he's had a lot of first bloods. Oh my goodness, infectious. I might start coughing in a minute. So first blood. Oh, did Vrizix spot the man? Be quick there. He's going to stun check, so he knows that there's a man over here. Vrizix waiting, see if he can see anything. Still patiently waiting for that first blood, and Yumeko's actually going to grab it instead, and that's going to cause the peak from Nezix as he gets his body absolutely battered there by the sniper rifle round. Vrizix on the hunt. We've seen him do this aggressively with the sniper before, but Quick, there you go, going to make him pay. All of a sudden, though, Quick is now the last man up, and Yumeko takes him down. It's going to be another map on the board for Incentive Esports, and you just feel, Pablo, that was the best chance for Katana Blue to really have a bit of a sniff in this series as it now ends 6-5.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was a great opportunity for them, and I just felt when the pressure was on and when the aggression was on, Incentive always had the edge. They just always seemed to have a little bit better gun skill, a little bit, you know. I can't even begin to talk about the world star performance right there from Zero. It was absolutely immense. 10 kills with the sniper, and at some points, you know, not just those long range kills, we're talking about crit scopes, quite mobile around the map. So huge performance again from Zero. But just if you're Katana Blue, I mean, this is the first positive they've got to take away. They've at least got some, you know, rounds they can go back over the VOD, and you know, they did some things really well, and they also kind of, you know, remove the demons of the Bocage hardpoint, where at times they just didn't look like they were at the game at all. We hit a Tuscan control though, but Major, this has got to be a worry that again we might see a really, really heavily one-sided slaying performance from the team in yellow.
Yeah, I was going to say, Incentive Esports, they did look a little bit shaky on the search and destroy. The Katana had their moments where they looked very, very organised, but there's just something about a team that can manage to just edge their way over a map. It felt as though Incentive were kind of, every time it looked as though Katana Blue were getting a bit of momentum, Incentive just managed to edge their way back up, and then obviously at the end of the round they get the important first blood. Everything starts falling apart for Katana Blue, and obviously now going to need a reverse sweep going into another respawn. Obviously we saw that map 1 respawn for Incentive Esports. It was incredibly one-sided. So now for Katana Blue, it's bleak. It's not impossible, saying that. We've seen crazier things happen, but you just feel that was the map to really kind of give them a bit of a spark, and unfortunately they just weren't quite able to close it out. And when it's kind of these fine margins, especially as we see in the Super League quite often, that's usually the game changers in some of these series.
Yeah, I think they've just got kind of team that just had that extra percentage in pace, percentage in aggression and accuracy, where if they did find themselves behind, they would just ramp up through a gear and just take over the map, and that's what they did time and time again. A little surprised at the round 10, I think, maybe the round 9, round 10. Obviously, round 9 was a wild one. That's where we saw Prax just to decide to not take the kill. And if anything, maybe an indication of communication issues or just a little lack of confidence in your ability, because that's usually someone would just rip the head clean off a player on bomb. But again, maybe just a communication issue and confidence, and that plays a big part. Heading into Tuscan Control, though, we've seen this before where teams that are absolutely dominating a series can suddenly just fall off. It's got a little bit more strategy as well as that gun skill element, and we did see that, you know, Katana Blue can shoot back, so a good opportunity again for them maybe to get, especially if they can start on the defensive side, just to maybe get some rounds on the board, get a bit of confidence, and, you know, even if, you know, they get absolutely annihilated, you know, just get the VOD, go back to the drawing board, and, you know, prepare for the losers bracket run.
Yeah, so down but not out, Katana Blue. So we never like to write teams off, especially on Vanguard, because the amount of times that me and Pablo look as though we're getting a prediction right, and then all of a sudden it all goes tits up, and then it's 3-2. So we won't count out Katana Blue just yet, but now it is going to be very, very difficult for them going into another respawn. Obviously, custom control, Pablo, with the spawn slightly changing, obviously that kind of the dynamic, especially off the start, it was pretty much right, A site is going to get captured regardless, but obviously with that defensive spawn coming through a little bit further forwards, and obviously now with ticks coming through as well rather than kills, it is a slightly different dynamic to some of these teams on the offense. It'll be interesting to see kind of what strategy these guys are working with, and probably we're going to see not an automaton, a Volk or two.
Yeah, I mean, you see there's a bit of an argument raging at the minute. Volk obviously potentially going to be quite popular because it seems to be outgunning the MP40 close, and you know, some people are saying that it's as effective as the auto at that median distance. So again, whether that we're going to see one, but I mean, is it a good idea? It's potentially going to get GA fairly quickly. We see the strong push towards B, and then we see the trades go back and forth as well, as we Trunk and Nezik's trade out, and it is going to be one player trying to get on there, and they're going to be quickly supported. Really nice push from the boys from Katana Blue. Managed to get a little bit of B control. Finally looks like they're going to get dealt with, but Major, the one thing we always ask for, a big B push, and we finally do get to see it.
Yeah, one thing I will say though is it's getting a little bit brutal over towards that B side, and they do have Yumiko over this side who is just ripping through any player on the side of Katana Blue that's trying to get some sort of progression over towards that side, as another kill comes through there, this time for Trunk, and Yumiko doing a really good job actually of just staying alive, allowing his teammates to try and help him out. In the meantime, Quick is going to... Oh, man, that's got timing in a nutshell, and that sums up Katana's game, as Rizix is going to manage to pick off yet another player. It looks as though Yumiko is going to be watching over 8. Meanwhile, you can see number 1 in H9 might be trying to make a bit of a distraction over towards that B site. Heard a couple of pistol shots there as he tries to maybe grab some attention over towards this side, but Yumiko at the moment has just got it on lockdown. They do finally manage to get themselves on towards the A point, but now with 25 seconds left, Pablo, and trailing by 4 lives, it's looking a little bit worrying here for Katana, but they do finally clear out that A point.
Yeah, it does look like they've got a player with some access to the A. Big opportunity for them to try and stop the clock and get these ticks over, but right now the slaying prowess of the boys in yellow is just proving a little bit too much. Honestly, Major, I was watching Yumiko's perspective, as you know, we usually just sit and watch minimap and kill feed almost religiously, and I'm thinking, this guy has like hit so many players, and he had 1 kill at the time, and playing his life so immaculately that he held the entire team off despite only getting that 1 kill. So big plays again. We're going to see this battle of attrition going over towards that A site. Only 2 ticks are down on it, and Major with 13 seconds. It's looking pretty bleak for Katana Blue in this first offensive round.
Well, they do finally look as though they're going to try and get this one done. It's been a really, really difficult opening attacking round here for Katana just to get this A point done, but all of a sudden they're now down to 10 lives, trailing by 4. See that Zero is going to be lurking underneath fire. Looks as though Yumiko is going to have the first engagement, at least spots cracks, but now can the trades come through? Good work there. Good little bit of bait and switch from the boys of Katana Blue. They're going to need a little bit more of it as they try and flood their way over towards this B point. We know how difficult it is to capture, and with Trunk just locking down this side alongside his teammates, it's going to be even more difficult as a second comes through there for Trunk. Potentially a third, not on that one, as H9 actually gets a big couple of kills. Round the back he'll go, but with 40 seconds left on the clock, Pablo, it looks as though... Oh, actually, the time is going to be awful. Never mind. But now, time and lives not really on the side of Katana.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a weird one. If you're H9, do you really want to get engagements at that point, or do you just want to hide and wait for your team to potentially get set up? Because now they've got this 3-man stack. They've got a player roaming around in number 7 and 0. That is not someone that you want randomly in and about your area. He's going to come in behind Prax and get 2-piece. Is he going to get the 2-piece? Yeah. And this is the problem. You know, H9 really needs that kind of responsible moment right there where he thinks, I'll just sit, I'll hide, I'll let the team get back up. He doesn't do it. He gets taken down, and now we get this split push, and right now it is going to be a pretty easy, pretty straightforward defensive round for Incentive Esports, who give themselves that 1-round cushion. And going into the offensive round next, Major, I mean, this is going to be do or die right now if you are Katana Game and Blue.
Yeah, I know it's only been 1 round, but all of a sudden Incentive get a strong start and maybe push this B point early on and get it. That's where it's going to be worrying here for Katana Blue, so we'll see what they can work up this one. And you can see there the yellow arrows, they have got their eyes set over on towards that B point. Prax watching mid. Sorry, watching P5 while H9 watch mid. Now the players fly through, but there's 1 for Prax, there's 2 for Prax. As trades are going to come through, and they will manage to just about stabilize. Only Yumiko is going to be the lone man that manages to work their way through, so a good strong start for the first wave of players.
Yeah, they got absolutely wiped out, so nice defense from Katana Blue. Potentially looking to mirror the defensive prowess from Incentive from the first game, but they're going to push through and they're going to look to try and get some kills from behind. Nezix is going to drop 1. He does get dropped in the end. And again, maybe just a little slow there as he pushed through. And you can see how far pushed up number 3 is. And quick, he's going to get potentially another kill. He does finally do it despite how sloppy it was. He is going to push through. The team in blue doing well on the defense so far. But right now, Incentive just get that little bit of A control. I think they get 1 more kill potentially. We see number 7 in 0 just going to be at the back of that map. He does get that kill. So right now, it's still a little bit of a battle going down, Major. And that's just that little bit of kind of playing your life has allowed the team in Katana Blue to get a little bit more access to that A zone.
One thing though, I think they don't know is that Trunk's here in the back. They will take the man off the point. Trunk's actually going to just try and reposition as his teammates are going to try and push up towards the map. The A point hasn't been done though, but they do have 2 players now over towards the B side. Trunk is going to go out the back and try and stop those players from reinforcing that man on the hill, which it looks as though is surely going to be Vrizix any second.
Oh man, double stack right now. What are they doing? Double
they're
stack.
Just playing kills at the moment of the boys of Incentive. They really need to try and at least stop the timer, because that A point, as mentioned, hasn't been completed. 0 on the A point, meanwhile Vrizix on the B, and it looks as though the boys in blue are going to try and prioritize this B point, but at the moment Vrizix, he's just ripping through players as a second one comes through there for him, and potentially a third with the pistol, not quite able to as he finally falls, but wow, got a little bit worrying there. That A point is now done, and obviously first stick already done on B.
Yeah, A goes down. It's 1 minute 25 on the clock, and the lives at that point was almost identical. 11-11 right now. And Katana Blue doing well to go toe-to-toe in terms of kills. They have got 1 player in Incentive Esports, just pushed a little bit up. He's been dealt with. Nice kill from Quicker. And again, no one just pushed up. I think they got number 2 in Prax, trying to cause a few problems. He's going to play his life, but he gets dealt with. Eventually, it is going to be 0. Manages to get the kill, but that's just hold that initial push from Incentive Esports, but they've managed to get those ticks, which is something the boys from Katana weren't able to do. So this is potentially going to play into the hands of the team in yellow as we hit the later stages of this Tuscan control. 10 lives to 9 though. This is the first time we've seen the boys in blue in a really positive state in terms of slaying. Big opportunity for them, Major, as the kill feed though does unfortunately go yellow.
Holy stack. They're going to start flying through now. Surely the double stack at least is coming through. That second tick is now imminent. Nezix does his best though to take 2 players down. You can see H9 is desperately trying to get through to top radio to help those players out on the point. They do just about. Jesus, get on towards the B point. Nezix with 5 in a row. Some huge kills coming through from him as he's leading the charge in terms of kills for the boys in blue. The trades though need to be efficient now from the boys of Incentive. They don't have any more respawns. It is now 3 versus 5. The round the back 0 is going to try and work. No, he's going to manage to rip one mate straight clean off the heady. So good work there from 0. 4 versus 3. They've still got to do this for a few more engagements.
Oh, number 5, the timing. I don't think he realizes just how close. I think the player is just outside the steps. He's going to hold his position and wait for that push through his 3 lives. Plays 3, doesn't check his corner, so 0 is going to go into the next round, and that is a really big performance and hopefully a confidence boosting performance for Katana Blue as they get a defensive round on the board. More importantly, for the large portion of the latter part of that game, they were in the lead in the life count, so showing that they can go toe to toe in terms of kills, and that could just be the incentive the Katana Blue needs to start to get back into this game.
Nope. Just need a few more of that. More importantly, potentially, they need the streaks of Nezix here. If he can manage to get these streaks, these will be huge for Katana Blue, especially on an offensive round to maybe open up the B site. Allow those players on towards it. The A point looks as though it's going to be the position. H9, though, with an entry nade means that Yumiko has got a lot of work to do over this A site. We've seen him do it before, and he gets 2 kills in quick succession, pretty much on his Larry. So again, it just feels as though incentive, all of a sudden, when their back's up against the wall, one player will come through with the big plays, and that time it was Yumiko.
And you've got to ask the question, though, you know, the glide bomb being just 1 kill away, has that changed the way that Nezix has decided to play? And has that caution, now that it's gone away, cost the boys from Katana Blue the potential kind of strong, aggressive push towards A that they would have liked right now? Number 2 in Prax is doing an absolutely admirable job of trying to hold his own. He's playing his back tower area, finally gets dealt with by Yumiko, and Rizix is going to back that up with a drop on Nezix. But again, you know, when you're just 1 away from a glide, it does change the way that you approach the game, and that maybe that's just allowed the boys from incentive to just get that bit more aggressive than maybe they would have been allowed to normally. Finally, Katana get onto that A point, and they get a double kill as well. Triple kill,
stack,
make that a quadruple stack. They've got to get on. This could be from both sides. And again, a little bit of strategy just loses them. It is going to be a big kill. He manages to get tagged up as Trunk manages to get a little bit of a you know, reaction, and that is going to be cleared out major. We talk about it all the time, but if you get them kills, stack the bloody hill.
Oh, man. They were so close to getting that tick done, and now with it not being lives and being ticks now, that could have been a huge moment there for the boys of Katana Blue to try and get that additional tick over towards B. If they did keep, I believe it was Prax that worked his way over towards the back rather than stacking the hill. Apologies if it was another player, but as though they were at least going to get 1 tick, but unfortunately they just opted to try and push out the back and play for kills. They are still leading in terms of kills, and they do have H9 around the back, but Yumiko again going to look to try and stabilize a little bit, and Trunk though coming back with 2 kills. Rizix drops the 3rd. All of a sudden H9 last man in the back. That's a oh no, never mind, I was going to say a full man wipe. Now it is, but now 10 lives for the boys of incentive, and Katana Blue, they've still got quite a bit of time, to be fair to them.
Yeah, I mean, with only 10 kills needed, I suppose they could probably potentially TDM this, but Trunk's just going to sit and hide, and he's going to get a pretty easy 2-piece. Don't forget to check your corners, folks, because you do not know who is waiting around them right now. 1-all, 13 lives, plays 10 lives. Advantage still potentially with Katana Blue, but unfortunately they didn't take advantage of 2 early stacks, and when you've got these boys in yellow set up as strongly as they are with their unerring accuracy, and as I say, that H9 absolutely destroys your Meko, and is going to be followed up by Prax dropping Rizix. You know, that's the thing they've got to be concerned about right now. Is it does look like incentive have fell off a little bit in terms of their aggression, and this is a huge opportunity again. Stack the bloody hill.
Please get on the hill, boys. For the love of God. 2 players on it now, Nezix and Quick. Thank you. The pressure is now starting to come through. Incentive, they've only got 3 lives left, to be fair to him, so it's going to have to be something absolutely monumental, though. Yumiko's going to take down 1, but they're now falling apart, and now Rizix, last man up, takes down 1. Can he take down some more? H9's on the point as well, and they finally get it done. Katana Blue, big round, Pablo, huge round.
Mate, I don't want to say it, but that's in a massive attacking round, and also more than anything else, they've brought back the tick count is potentially in their favour as well, so that could be huge right there. But one thing is certain, that the boys from Incentive Esports are going to have to take an attacking round if they want to see this game out, and I just don't know right now. The boys in Katana Blue looking very strong. H9 about to drop a 30. Huge plays by him, and again, this has probably been the best slaying performance in the entire series that we've seen from the team in Blue. Incentive, though, gonna have to get aggressive, and we said about them before, and realistically this is their opportunity to prove it. Have they got an extra gear to go through? And if they haven't, you know, this could be the potential beginning of a reverse.
So this A point is looking pretty standard here for Incentive. They've come flying out the gates there, still yet to drop a man. Saying that though, here's the commentator's curse. There's 1. Quick gonna look to try and get the second, but 0 just gonna snap straight onto him and not gonna allow him anymore. But now they've still got Trunk over on that A point. And they do have Rizix on the B, so now Katana Blue. Got to be a little bit careful here. H9 with a big kill, takes down 1, gets for a second as well. Onto 0, good work there And Katana Blue still breathe a sigh of relief. You can see Brax there. He's actually just going to completely ignore Trunk over towards that hill. It looks as though his teammates are going to try and do their best to mop him up. But Trunk takes down one. H9 again, though. Looking to be Mr. Reliable on this map. 3 in a row now. His 30th engagement win from him, Pablo. And as you mentioned, he's doing really, really well. But they've got to be careful because look at that B presence. Oh, double nade. Never mind.
He did the double nade straight into the back pocket of Zero, and Yoneko is going to help them out, and that's a nice clean wipe. They get control. It is going to allow incentive to just head straight over towards A and get a little bit of presence there, and it's what we talk about time and time again. They're just going to get the clock stopped as they see that out. They only need one player. He'll probably be able to play his life reasonably enough. Big fight about to go down the back of Church, though. You can see that Chase H9 gets another big kill. Hits that 30 bomb, and again, huge plays. Major, one thing we hadn't seen in any of the previous rounds was the players starting to drop big numbers, particularly in Bocage, where they were heavily on the struggle bus. Right now, Nezix, again, 2 away from the potential glide. Is 26 and 17 right now. We're looking to try and bait out some players and potentially get some picks. You can see this beautiful kind of median stranglehold the team in blue have got across the middle of the map, but they've got to get the kills. Nezix, 1 away. 6 kills, 27 and 17. Huge performance, Major, from the young man in number 4.
Oh, man, but you can see the presence that they've got round the back. Nezix is still desperately hunting for his all-important kill. It looks like he's going to have it up and towards the top of Church. Can he win it? No, Trunk is going to shut him down just short of that glide bomb. And unfortunately now, for Katana, they won't have a streak to work with. They are now falling a little bit, one at a time, as H9's trying to get another set of kills as he manages to get another one. And an all-important one over towards that flat side. It looks as though the boys of Katana Blue are controlling large portions of this B site, Pablo. They just need to try and keep this up for the formidable future of waves of yellow arrows, really.
Yeah, some interesting card timing there. Number 7 is allowed to push through. He does get dropped, and that's a beautiful kill feed if you're a Katana fan right there. Blue for Prax, blue for H9, I think Quicker also getting a kill. What else is beautiful to see? Everyone pushing past that 20 kills. It's really nice to see everyone contributing strongly. And Major, we're seeing streaks across the board there, hitting the 8 across the team. So Katana Blue, despite, you know, the struggles in the earlier part of the series, playing so much better right now, definitely warmed up. And they've got a really nice stranglehold across the majority of the map, which has allowed them to get even more picks without dropping any players at all. Big kill though for Trunk as he manages to get back on the kill. He's potentially going to be able to get that second tick over. No one pushes them right now. Is he going to get it though? I think he was just off, so potentially going to drain that back. And Major, that is another 4-man kill feed for the team in blue. 10 lives plays 4. 1 potential push remains for Incentive Esports, or we're going to be hitting that map for.
Well, H9 might be able to get some more here. There's another one for him. 6 in a row. This is now for streaks here. But there are a lot of players waiting for him. Can he get the 7th over? Zix again is going to shut him down, but with 3 lives remaining, they might not even need it. Quick's going to be here. He's going to land an aid right in the chops of Trunk as he's going to try and get over towards that B point, but they are cutting them down by the wayside. This has been a really good map here from the boys of Katana Blue, and more importantly, look at Nezix and H9. They are just carrying the boys in terms of kills, and Katana Blue, potential reverse sweep on the cards, Pablo. Big map for them.
Yeah, you know, we talk about it time and time again because, you know, Vanguard has been an absolute minefield for casters, commentators, analysts, anyone trying to make a prediction, maybe with the exception of Prezi and Seed. You just seem to be making fistfuls of cash in predictions. Right now, man, we've been made to eat our words. Katana Blue looking like absolute fools in the first map because they got incredibly slapped. They come back strong in the S&D where you can see a little bit more strategy. They definitely proved to us that they've got gun skill. Well, what do they go and do in the Tuscan? They go through the gear that we didn't think they had. They get that 5% better, and they get the kills. And for those last 2 rounds, they were the kill leaders right the way to the end. So huge performance, and we go into a much more difficult hard point than the Bocage, and this is really going to test Incentive Esports, and we could really be on the cusp of what could be a big reverse right now in this. I wouldn't want to call it either way, Major.
Yeah, so now we go into Berlin hardpoint. We talk about kind of how more structured this map is in comparison to this map. I mean, every map's pretty much more structured than a Bocage hardpoint. But at the moment, it's looking as though Katana Blue on a map on control where it is arguably more structured than the hardpoint. They did look good in that one, to be fair. We obviously flag up the performances of H9. He did really, really well in that one. Nezix as well, putting up the big numbers. And those are kind of the fundamentals that you really want to see kind of from Katana Blue if they're going to take, for example, this next map to keep them and force that game 5 is going to be kind of the big moments where they're looking for these important kills on rotations, some of the spawns, and now as we get in towards kind of the Berlin hardpoint, we're gonna again put more responsibility on their shoulders and hope that they can provide once again and force that game 5 for us, because map 3 much more positive from them.
Yeah, absolutely, and a really good display of AR control as well. So hopefully, you know, going into this much larger hardpoint map, the ARs are going to be able to maintain the kind of performance they had in the Tusk control, carry it across, and then going to put some pressure on Incentive, who we know are going to come out the blocks, going to be very aggressive, very accurate. They're going to trade effectively. So big moment for Katana Gaming in their kind of early career in terms of these 4 players together. So good opportunity for them maybe to apply that pressure and, you know, get themselves to a game 5, because if we do get to that in S&D, we know that both these teams are fairly evenly matched in terms of S&D, and again we might get to see some world star sniping performances.
Yes, so into map number 4 we go. If you guys have missed the first 3, map 1, the last hard point, was an absolute blowout in favour of Incentive, but Katana Blue essentially working a bit of a sweep here. We don't like to say it too soon, and you definitely feel as though the start of this hard point, Pablo, is going to be pivotal here for the boys in blue, because if they start off slowly, kind of like they did before, which it looks as though might be the case, we know how Incentive ran away with that Bocage hard point, and if you're a Katana Blue if you're a Katana Blue flannel, if you're a Katana Blue fan, you don't want to see that kill feed lighting up yellow early days.
Yeah, I think the one difference is that obviously you can lose the rhythm quite easily in Bocage and just let the game run away. But yeah, at least in this game you can kind of chalk a hill, go and get the rotation and try and regain and resettle your players. But they do need to get into the rhythm as early as possible. They can't allow the boys from Incentive to get too big a lead, because it does become difficult. Because obviously you can get the exact same strategy kind of fired back at you, and it's a great performance so far. Only 4 seconds in it. We are seeing the kill feed again, ominously going quite yellow. Zero though, not off the blocks yet. And what we're seeing from Nezix is a complete carry-on of confidence and performance from that Tuscan hardpoint, the Tuscan control, as he's dropped to 5 already. Big plays over towards the back of P2, but they haven't been able to get this, any control in terms of getting onto the kill. Trunk able to clean that up, and despite the control across the map that the team in blue had, they're still kind of getting dealt with in these close quarter battles.
Yeah, one thing I will say for Katana Blue is they will need to try and keep Zero quiet here. Trunk at the moment is kind of carrying just a little bit in terms of kills. Zero had a slow start by his standards, but if he starts to get up to speed, we've seen what he can do in some of these respawns. Now Nezix going to try and work his way in through the side of the hill. Going to manage to take down Trunk, so there's another one for him. H9 is going to manage to clear out Zero as well, so now the race to the rotation going to be pivotal here. You can already see that Vrizix is going to be out the back. He is going to get spotted though by Quicken. Oh, I thought for a second he was going to get the kill as well, but Trunk, big set of kills potentially coming through from him, but Nezix stays alive, and this is a big rotation for the boys in Katana Blue. Pablo, they're trailing only by a little bit, but this hill now, if they can get a big block of time, this will be very, very encouraging for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they need to get the picks. They need to clear out this hill now and force the team in yellow to spawn out. Right now, spawn's reasonably close. We still got Katana, got those back spawns, but the boys in Incentive have just kind of got that P1 spawn. So we're going to expect to see a heavily contested P2, and it does look like it is going to be the team in blue just, you know, temporarily with control. They've got that one player out, and he's being dealt with. Huge turret moment from Yameko, finally dealt with in fire, but that's allowed his team to get back into it. Major, no one really getting control of this. Only 20 seconds in it, and we are going to shortly see that race for P4.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of strong holds from teams on that one, but this hill has been back and forth at the moment as Yumiko just refuses to give it up. He will finally rotate with his team, as Katana Blue are only granted around 10 seconds of scrap time. You can already see, though, the spread of players. They're just going to try and watch all of their respective lanes practice. So, onto respawn he goes. Gets absolutely beamed by Yumiko. A strong start from him with this auto, as again his team's to try and put themselves in a really good position. They are so pushed up the map at the moment. Pablo in Yumiko and Zero. Yumiko will finally fall, but the aggression at the moment from Incentive just to try and command large sections of the map. Again, unsurprisingly, we're seeing it here. 0 with 1, 0 with 2. Looking for the third, won't be able to get it. And I'll tell you what, Katana Blue, they get their way in, but they're still spawning nearby.
Yeah, it was a beautiful 3-piece across the team right there, just to get that little bit of front control. But again, it just shows you how important back spawns are, as Incentive are able to fight back. And right now, this is very reminiscent almost of the kind of toe-to-toe performance we saw in S&D. No one been able to get control of any of the spawns or any of the hills. And, you know, we usually would suggest P2 to P3 is that massive big moment. It's, you know, once the team gets into that rhythm, well, no one's got that rhythm so far. We are seeing Incentive just start to get that little bit of scrap time. It's going to give them a round and about now it's a 40-second lead, just under or just thereabouts. But already, again, this P5 might be able to tell us who's got the better strategy, who's got that little bit of an advance, or I've totally lost the words, mate. They've gone out of my mind. I'm that baffled by the lack of control from either team so far. But P5 does look like it's gone the way of Katana Blue, and this is a big opportunity for them, not just to get some time, but they're going to have to deal with number 7 Major in Zero, who is just starting to come to life.
Yeah, he's already starting to play for the new spawns as well. Is Zero making the big brain play? You can see Quick's going to desperately try and chase after him, so they do clear him out, but you can see Yumiko is still lurking on the hill. Will finally get on it and soak up some time. They push this lead out, and again, another couple of kills coming through from Yumiko, a man who we haven't seen a huge amount of in previous series and previous games that we've casted, but at the moment he's looking very, very strong here on this map. But Nezix is just going to absolutely Kobe him. As again, commentator's curse comes straight through, but Incentive, strong early cushion here, Pablo, after the first set of hills, but now Katana Blue going to have to try and be in a position here on P1 where they've got the rotation. They just need to try and stop these players from slipping through.
Yeah, but we're starting to see that thing we talked about from Bakai's hardpoint, where they didn't really have an effective strategy once they got into the hill. Completely different kind of philosophy from the boys in Incentive, who seem to get into the hill, take up positions, look to try and get the picks. That's one thing the boys in blue haven't really done effectively. Some nice long-range shots, those with the H9 and Nezix team up to drop 2 Incentive players. Right now, they are looking to take a little bit of time, because Major, that was starting to hit the 60-second mark in terms of that differential. Right now, it has been just about pulled back. We are just about to hit the 35-second mark, but a huge team wipe right there as Incentive just kill that kill feed, make it yellow, and they're back in control. But not just that, they're looking to get set up already on the move at number 6 Invisix, looking to try and get some middle map control and maybe make his way over to P2. And you can see that push Major down the left-hand side. The entire team in blue just like, yeah, probably want to chalk P1 on the second rotation. Let's get set up for P2.
I mean, they tried to rotate early. They were going to chalk the time regardless, but they just read the spawns so well, Incentive, as they tracked pretty much every single player crossing over that dock side. As now the lead is being pushed out to a dangerous amount. Now 70 points is going to be the difference, but the blue lads are on the hill. As Prax takes down one, Nezix could work to take down one as well, but Yumiko at the moment, he's the man that it looks as though they're going to have to try and stop, as he does finally fall. Rizix, though, is going to punch his way in towards the hill. He's still got to go through H9, who is just lurking nearby. But at the moment, Incentive with a comfortable lead, at least in this middle stage. And now Katana Blue, it's been a bit of a scrappy hard point, though, to be fair, Pablo, but regardless, Incentive, they just seem to always have that man on the hill.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing we've talked about ever since the beginning of Vanguard, is just that team that's able to make the kills pay. So, you know, we know that Incentive have got a strong slaying capability. They're being matched almost toe-to-toe, though. Maybe only quicker on the struggle bus for the boys in Katana Blue. But what Incentive have done really well is they've held large portions of the very first portion of the hard point. So getting those first 25 seconds, battling effectively for the latter part of it, and they've turned that into some real time. And when you've got Trunk absolutely going off, not 1, not 2, not 3, is he going to get the ace on the team wipe? No, he does get dealt with by Quicker finally, but again, that's going to give the boys in yellow an opportunity, despite Heroics from Quicker, who has still got that little bit of control. But the spawns, Major, are going to go the way of Incentive as they hit the 100 mark. Katana Blue, still a lot of work to do.
Trunk with some huge kills there, and that enables Incentive to punch in, and they've now got that important set of players in the hill. Trunk with another kill, as Prax is going to try and get his way inside. He will take Trunk down. We're going to try and slide out onto Zero. Nothing comes of it, though. They've got to be careful, because Quick has managed to get round the back. Can he take the man out of the hill? Yes, he can, but you can still see those spawns out the back coming through for number 5. Trunk on this occasion manages to beam one player, but Katana, breathe a sigh of relief, because that scrap time was all important. We know how many times when teams push their way close to that 200-point mark, that's when it starts to get a little bit frantic, a little bit worrying. And again, with that cushion, Incentive Esports, Pablo, they can just opt to rotate early, get everyone set up. And now with 4 seconds remaining, the boys in blue, they've got a long old trek towards that next hill.
Yeah, and a big job right now for Ian Mecca, who needs to just get as much information as possible and make it as accurate as possible. This first push from the boys in blue could potentially be the one that either makes or breaks this series. Are the boys in yellow going to be able to hold them off and get that kill time needed to see the series out? Or are the team in Katana Blue going to be able to get the picks? Well, they've managed to get everyone off the hill, and we do say, if you aren't able to get that hill time, at least make it impossible for your opposition to then go and get it. Number 7 in Zero is going to be making his way down that side of those train tracks to try and get a little bit of leverage and across the front of those two buildings. Again, no one on the hill, and it's one of the features of Incentive Esports is that real dedication, that real patience. They don't just want to force people onto the hill to try and get a little bit of scrap time. They will try and get control, and right now a big fight and another big opportunity for the team in blue to potentially get a little bit of control and get that little bit of scrap time. And Major, it looks like another big differential is going to be this P5. It was huge in the first rotation, and potentially this could be make or break in the second rotation.
You already see the players battling for that middle map control as that infamous P5, that normally scrappy P5, we like to refer to it, is going to now get popped. And now the shot's coming through from Zero. Not going to get enough bullets in to grab the kill. Quick though has been spotted, dropping down in towards that section of the map. Surely Trunk's going to be here for the trade, and he will. So nice work from Trunk as he looks to join Yumiko close to that 30 kill mark. They've still got the man on the hill at the moment. They're doing a good job. Prax just got to try and stay alive at the moment. It looks as though they're going to try and finally force him off the hill. H9 has been spotted. Prax is going to try and go for a reposition, and Quick is going to manage to take down Trunk, but that kill feed dangerously yellow. Pablo, 25 seconds remaining. Now Katana Blue have got to be quick with this, because every second that drips in favour of Incentive Esports is going to be a dagger in the back. But H9, 2 big kills with the nade.
That is a much needed Kobe right there, as he gets the outer court experience and manages to get P5 control. More importantly, it is going to be Prax making his way around the back. The thing is, he has got to play this so effectively. He needs the big picks. He needs to play his life more effectively. And right now, 2 big picks. He gets the second big pick, and that is huge right there. But again, his team in blue nowhere to be seen, as they still spawning out towards Warehouse, and that is going to potentially, as you said before, be a huge dagger. They have managed to force their way. There is some big kills going down. Vizix has managed to get the trade out. Yemenko manages to get it, and they have still got that control, Major, with only a handful of seconds remaining. This is looking very much like it's going to be an Incentive Esports win. Can the team in blue even get a foot on the hill?
Nope. That's the answer to that. Short and sweet. Incentive, they will manage to clutch up in the hard point, and more importantly, in the series. In winners round 1, they will take it in a 3-1 fashion. A very strong hard point performance again from those lads to control. It looked as though it might be the shining light potentially for the boys in blue. But this man here, Yumiko, 39 and 22. What a performance from him. It just looks as though the raw gun skill and almost firepower for the boys of Incentive, Pablo, were just a little bit too much in the end for the boys of Katana.
Yeah, I mean, it was death by 1,000 cuts in the first rotation, but then the second rotation was just really about dominance, really about that gun skill. And the trades, again, just such effective trading team. Incentive looking very, very strong. Katana Gaming back to the drawing board. A few positives to take away. Really good at S&D, and your Tuscan control looked absolutely impeccable at times. And really, there was moments there where gun skill and everything else just came together. So just back to the lab a little bit with the hard points. Bocage is a weird one. It can go either way, but when you get embodied that heavily on Berlin hardpoint, it is definitely a moment where you're potentially going to have to go back over the VOD and just look to improve things, because that is purely down to strategy, rotation, and holding, and just being in the right position. One thing I would say is that when they were getting into kills, when they rotated correctly, they just weren't taking up great positions, and they didn't seem to have an effective hold strategy. So maybe just back to the drawing board on that, but congratulations to Incentive, and they're going to march on in the bracket.
Yeah, so well done there to the boys of Incentive, and Leo wants the Sue to go with it. So good performance there from the boys of Incentive. They will go marching on. Katana Blue though down but not out. They will obviously fall in towards that losers bracket. Richie going to be proud there of his lads as well. So good work there from Incentive. They will progress through the winners bracket, and some more players, Pablo, that we've got to add to the ever-growing list of EU talent, and not another series where you're looking again to the likes of Incentive now, especially to maybe try and kick on and potentially cause a few upsets in the bracket as well. They've obviously, I believe their next game, let me double check, is against, let me just double check, Mistaken. So, wow, there you go. There's a difficult one for them. So this is now an opportunity for them to try and prove themselves. They've done well in this series, but man, that next series is going to be a difficult one.
I think Hardpoint is going to be under a lot more pressure, but more than anything else, I think they're going to have an incredibly solid S&D performance against the experience of Mistaken Esports. But yeah, that's going to be a big test for them. And obviously, you know, you would have to give Mistaken the potential kind of like the odds would be in their favour. But again, the hard point from the boys Incentive looked immaculate at times. So whether or not that's a Katana Blue issue or whether or not it's Incentive being particularly brilliant, we're going to find out in the next round. And again, the ACCL Super League just providing us with some of the best and most exciting COD in Europe.
Yeah, so that is going to be it from myself and Pablo. A huge shout out to everyone who has partaken in that series. GG's there to both teams. Commiserations there to Katana Blue. That is going to be it from myself and Pablo, though, this evening. A huge shout out to everyone as well who's dropped by, new and old, in the chat. I do notice all you beautiful people. And we're going to go and drop a very, very established and world-class caster in Mr. Andy, a raid. He's playing some F1. I'm sure there's going to be a few F1. But, yeah, show Andy a bit of love. If you guys can hop on the raid, thank you very much, guys. We will be back, I believe, tomorrow for some more games. God forbid my throat manages to hold up until then. But in the meantime, guys, thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you guys tomorrow for some more ACCL action.
Peace.